welcome you all on behalf of the UCL United Nations Association to the event with the San Marino Consulate. The Consul, Mr. Bragani, will be giving a 5 to 10 minute presentation, and then we'll open up to questions from all of you. My name is Dan, and by the way, I'm one of the events directors for UCL UK. For those of you who don't know me, I've been the one emailing you, so please have your questions ready, and yeah, I'll hand the floor over to Mr. Bragani.
Thank you. Thank you. So first, welcome to the Republic of San Marino. As you can listen from my accent, in the Republic of San Marino we normally speak English. Italian, of course. So the Republic of San Marino I'm Maurizio Bragagni. I'm the Consul General of the Republic of San Marino in the United Kingdom. I'm also a father of 4 daughters and 2 fantastic dogs. I got more titles than daughters, and I got more jobs than title and daughters together. So just to let you know, so you can call me M, Maurizio, or you can call me, say, whatever you prefer, okay? The Republic of San Marino is one of the oldest states in the world. So that is all my CV. You can have all of that. That is not a problem at all. So the Republic of San Marino, I'm going to try to show you what we are. I'm not going through all these slides because I want more your questions, but I want to prove what is important is this. The Republic of San Marino was created in the 301 after Christ. It's a Christian republic. Our symbol, they are Christian, and they're being created after the persecution of Diocletiano, Emperor Diocletiano, the persecution of the Christian, a group of Christians with the Santi Marino. They left and they hide themselves in the Monte Titano. And on the top of that mountain, they created a Christian community, and they wanted to create a democracy. They were under the Roman Empire, so the emperor were the bad guy that were killed them, even though they were Roman. They were persecuted for their own faith because they were Christian. So what they did was to rebuild the idea of the old Roman Republic. And since there, 301, we still to have the same infrastructure, 2 head of the states on the same time, like the consul during the Roman Empire. San Marino, like United Kingdom, didn't have the French Revolution and did not have the occupation of the German army during the Second World War. It means that they are the only 2 countries with Ireland that they have the common law still there. With the old rest of Europe have the civil law due to the Napoleon invasion. Okay? So San Marino is the capital of San Marino is San Marino. The population is 33,000 people. We have a surface of 61 kilometers square. Official language is Italian with the San Marinese Romagnolo accent. Is one of the oldest states in the world. Is the oldest republic in the world. That is the reason why Elizabeth II accepted to become a knight of the Republic of San Marino, because it's one of the oldest states in the world. And that she did it 6 months before she passed away. So she was considered so important, that recognition, that she accepted in March 2022, 6 months before she passed away. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Okay? We had one of the most important honorary citizens, Abraham Lincoln. You have to understand Abraham Lincoln, Civil War. He just cut a few years before the legacy to United Kingdom. It's not anymore a monarchy, there is a republic. And immediately after 50 years that they are a republic, they went in civil war. So Abraham Lincoln got a lot of doubts that the republic was a good system for people, until he received a letter from the oldest republic in the world, San Marino. And in this letter, the Sammarinese people encouraged the President of United States, Abraham Lincoln, to go ahead, because they were fighting for the freedom of their own people, for the freedom of the black American people to be free. So the republic stood for that, and Abraham Lincoln replied. But he didn't reply through Secretary of State. By his hands. We have this pergamena with his own writing, and they say, although San Marino Dominus is small, this state is nevertheless one of the most honored of all history. And he became honorary citizen of the Republic of San Marino. So the Republic of San Marino, since its creation, it stands for freedom, any kind of freedom. We have even in our flag the word libertas, that means, from Latin, freedom. Our date of foundation is 3 September 301, after a crisis. San Marino has never been occupied, only temporarily occupied in two important dates. One during the Napoleonic War, and we have suffered a lot during the Second World War because we were surrounded by the German army. Inside of our territory, we have more than 100,000 refugees, and inside of these 100,000 refugees, we had 15,000 Jewish. Our army was one gun, 10 people, and a line on the border. Outside the German army, they knew that we have Jewish inside, and it was only a diplomatic job to make sure that they were not coming in and collect those people. Okay? All our strength was only the international law. That's all. So San Marino infrastructure is very simple. The regency, two head of the states, like the old Senate. The great and general consul is the parliament. Then they have the state of Congress, that is the government. The Council of the 12 is a very old institution. It was an institution that was created in the 12th century and still working. And is the Council of the 12. It's where any oldest people, they are member of this council, and they have the right to make petition, to correct and to present petition to the Congress. Okay. The constitutional of the provisional guarantors of board, that means the High Court. In the old time, the regency was head of the state, head of the government, and head of the High Courts, because we are approaching to become a member of an affiliate member of Europe. They want that jurisdiction and power need to be divided. That is a French idea, the division of power, which is not part of our culture, as is not part of the British culture. All the power is the king, all our power is the regency. Then the parliament, they are representing of the people, but the power coming from God to the regency, or from God to the king, and expressed by the people, is equal, because we didn't have the French Revolution, which they are the division of power between execution, legislation, and jurisdiction. Okay? Then we have the Towership Council and the Arengo. Arengo is again a parliament of all the representatives of the people, all the people, 33,000, which once a year, once a year, on December, they have the right to gather together and to present again petition to the Congress. Okay? San Marino is maintaining official relationship with the 151 countries, is a member of the United Nations, Council of Europe, ICJ, World Health Organization, is a member of cooperation with the Customs Unions Agreement since 2002, and we are negotiating our membership to become a member associated with Europe. At the moment, we are not in Europe, we are outside Europe. San Marino economy, just to give you 5,000 business operation in various sections, 8,000 employees, 7,700 cross-border. It means that Italian people, they're coming to work in San Marino. We have 230 lawyers and accountants, 3% unemployment rate. Our economy is a mix of everything. It's not a country that is all in service. We have service, manufacturing, construction, trade, transport, finance, accounting. So it's a very big mix. And that is our strength. We are a proper state with a proper economy that is a mix of everything. We are not just a bank state or tourist state. We are really a full state with all the country. Important achievement, what this consulate have done, double taxation agreement between our Secretary of State and Foreign Minister of United Kingdom. We have 30 tax information exchange agreement all around the world, 8 investment promotion and protection agreement with different countries, and also we have a recognition system that is very important because this recognition cannot be given to citizens of San Marino. For the citizen of San Marino, the most important thing is to be a citizen of San Marino. We don't give the citizenship to anyone, even though it's very profitable at the moment. And in small countries, some small countries in the world, they keep alive because a lot of people want to escape from Russia, India, whatever, okay? China, you think, you imagine. And there is a lot of countries that they are selling passport. San Marino has always refused to do that. So the Sammarinese people consider so important citizenship that they don't want to open that. That was one of the most very important discussions with Europe. But we have a system to recognize the people that have stood, helped, and served in San Marino, that they are no citizen, and that they are two equestrian order, one of the oldest in the history. As I mentioned, a member of the Order of San Marino is Elizabeth II, the Queen, his father before her. Member of the Order of Sant'Agata, they've been member like Theresa May, the Pope, or the President of the United States Republic, to recognize on the achievement for the peace, for the art, but in particular for supporting and to defend the freedom. During the war between Ukraine and Russia, there was a lot of people that has received the order to stand on defense of freedom, any form of freedom. For San Marino, there is no discussion of one thing, international law. Because if we do not respect international law, we don't exist. So whoever stands against international law, we stand against them in all the union, in the United Nations, everywhere. International law is not something that we can accept to be compromised, because otherwise we do not exist. We exist because during 1,724 years of our history, someone have respect that international law, that border, to recognize that we are independent from somebody else. Okay? So I think that as a general presentation, that's fine. So I leave it to you to any question and answer. And again, you are totally free to, if I'm able, please. Yes.
Can I just interrupt?
Yes, please.
Can we all just have a round of applause for him? Just want to thank you for that presentation, and then, yeah, if you want to go ahead and choose people for questions.
Thank you. Sorry for I didn't want to jump in the shoes of your president. Please.
So if San Marino that does not give out citizenship that easily, then on what basis does it give out citizenship? You only have 33,000 people, right, as one of the presentation. So, yeah, if you want to increase that numbers, what do you look for? Do you have to be like Italian? Do you have to pass some examination test? What is it?
Well, San Marino don't want to increase that number. We are not interested in that. You can be Sammarinese only if you're born in San Marino, from one Sammarinese or another Sammarinese. So one of your parents need to be Sammarinese, and you need to spend a time in San Marino. So if one of your parents is Sammarinese, and you are born in UK, before you're 18, you must go to live there at least 3 years. Otherwise, you lose your right to be Sammarinese. And that is, the law is going to change, of course. We are going to adapt ourselves. But basically the purpose even is that we don't want to extend the citizenship. We want to welcome the people that they are believes and they are consider themselves San Marino. San Marino has been always welcome foreigner. So if you move to San Marino, you work in San Marino, in 25 years you became Sammarinese, but you need to stay there for 25 years at the moment. That is the law. So it's not something that we give for granted. You need to conquer. And at the moment, the law is built in the way that you need to renounce to any other citizenship. And that, of course, is against the European law, so we are going to affiliate ourselves to Europe. So we are going to manage that. At the moment, it's still in discussion.
Yeah, you mentioned how San Marino principally exists because of international law.
Yes.
And obviously one of the consequences of the war in Ukraine is that international law being undermined.
Yes, correct.
From your perspective, sort of tangibly, what would that mean for San Marino in terms of its existence? What would happen if international law is undermined? And so one of the principles in the UN Charter is obviously the sovereign equality of the states. If that is also undermined, how might San Marino adjust its behavior in that world?
Well, our history spoke up for us. In 1,721 years, we have always stood for international law. We stood against the German army that were in front of us. They wanted to come inside of San Marino and to control and check our people. And we stood and we paid the price. And for a miracle, they didn't get in. A miracle that was not one day. It was 1 year. 1943, 1944. It was 1 year that outside of this building, there are German army, that they are searching for you. And every day they are knocking at the door downstairs. And every day I'm going downstairs and I'm going to put myself on that door says, you cannot come in. And they put us a gun in front of our head. And I'm going to repeat, you cannot come in. And for a miracle, first they don't shoot me, and second, they didn't get in, or they forced me and removed me by the door. So our history was quite clear. I don't have the answer to what is going to happen in the future, but we know that every time that we diminish international law, this world is unsafe. 22 years ago, when I was started to work in 2020, this world was an open world. You can fly all around the world, create a business all around the world. It was a global world. Today is a regional world at the moment. More regional what you expect. And it is a very small world, which I'm sorry for you. I was really enjoyed to go to China, to Russia, and on the same flights. Well, very funny. And it was very nice to see that the world and the people around the world have the same heart and the same desire, and everything is just for politics, not for economic reason, because the economy is against this barrier. But what I'm sure is this, is only temporary, and the history always show that force cannot win in the end. At least our history is there, stand there. Very proud to do that. But thank you for the question. Any other question? Yes, please.
So, obviously San Marino is quite a small country, and so I'm really curious to know, how do you make sure that the interests of San Marino are represented at like an international stage in like multilateral institutions and such?
Well, we are in any multilateral institution. We are a member of the United Nations. We are a member. I'm a governor of the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, for example. So we are one of the founders of the EBRD that is here. And as a consul in the United Kingdom, I'm also a member of the bank, so an alternative governor. So we to make sure we participate to the international fora. Sometimes you have to understand that to be a small country in international fora is very important, because if you are a medium-sized country, you may be influenced by your neighbors, okay? But if you are a small country like San Marino, any pressure, it's that pressure. You cannot give more pressure. So we are not influenced by a sanction of China, or we cannot be a sanction for Russia, or we cannot influence by a sanction of United States. Because we are so small that that doesn't influence at all us, okay? So it means that we're still free to stand for. For example, we stood for the removal of capital punishment. Against, you understand, against who? United States or other country in the world, that they still have capital punishment in their own constitution. Or we stood against slavery, any form of slavery. So to be as San Marino has a very important role in the international forum. Sometimes we are the country that they can start a process because other country cannot start that process because they are too much influential or too connection. At the same time, San Marinos have always been stood for freedom, for international. We was clear. So you have to understand, for example, in the EBRD, European Bank for Reconstruction, we are is normally the board is a round board, okay? That is all everywhere in the world, in international fora like United Nations, is always round because no one wants to be at the head of the table. No one must be at the head of the table. We are equal as a state. So we are normally put by alphabetic order. So Russia, San Marino, Serbia. So I'm always sitting between the Russian representative and the Serbian representative. And even though there is a sanction, when you are a human being and you have water over here and somebody asks you, can I have water? Yes, of course. But on the other side, there is American and United Kingdom and Europe and on. So every time that I'm speaking on the left with the Russian representative, and then I get out for, I don't know, to walk, to have a cigar or whatever, immediately I've been surrounded by the European ambassador, the American ambassador, and the British ambassador. I say, what are you talking about? What did he say to you? I say, I just passed the water. He wanted the water, pass the water. What does it mean? There is no meaning, just water. But there is a traffic. Water, what does it mean? That doesn't mean nothing. It's just water. He asked me water, I gave him a water. So, but that is the kind of international relationship. So I think that San Marino has done a very important role during the Second World War, and they still done a very important role in the history. And in particular, for example, for Italian tradition, you need to understand one thing. By the Italian law, I started with the citizenship, okay, but also I want to explain you this. By the Italian law and by the Sammarinese law, you are Italian if you have Italian blood. So you are Sammarinese if you are coming from. There is no jus soli, there is jus sanguinis. This is not the Roman idea. Like the British has collected the Roman Empire idea of the jus soli. You're born in the country, you are citizen of the country, jus soli. So from the ground, you get the right to stay here. By the Italian tradition, as Sammarinese tradition, there is only the jus sanguinis, from blood. This is not from the Roman tradition. It's for the Jewish tradition. So any Jewish law implemented against Jewish during the fascist time was the most disgraceful things that Italians have done to themselves. So the fact that San Marino was able to save 10,000 of those population, that was a way how to save the honor of the whole peninsula, because that was the most against our tradition that we have done to ourselves. And that is the reason why international law is not applied, dictatorship is coming, and when dictatorship is coming, sooner or later, you are in trouble. First, the small minorities group. Normally, all the people that have sexual different orientation, that is the first they attack it. Then the minority group of religion, Protestant or whatever, depending on the countries, Jewish, etc. And then, step by step, all the others. That is what the dictatorship normally they do. Thank you for your question. Any other? Yes, please.
Yeah, so you mentioned how San Marino is not just a sort of bank state or a tourism state,
Yep.
which sort of was my previous research. So I'm curious about the sort of other products and services and industries that you're involved in, sort of like maybe what exports you primarily have.
So the job that we have done to have a double taxation agreement between United Kingdom and San Marino has produced a lot of benefit for both countries. Because what you have to understand is that when a country doesn't have a double taxation agreement, it means that I'm, as a British citizen, I always, when I move around the world, I always say, which one you want? You can have the Sammarinese passport, you can have the British one, also the Italian because it's European, you never know. So as a British passport, if a country doesn't have a double taxation agreement with Great Britain, means that I can open a company in that country, do my business, don't declare anything in this country. Okay? It's not my job to do that. So basically I can avoid taxation. If there is a double taxation agreement, means that San Marino, as soon as you open a bank account or you open a company, they are going to declare that you are there. And they are going to pay to the country, to United Kingdom, part of the income that they're going to receive. So the double taxation agreement is not to avoid tax in UK. It's to make sure that UK collect its own part of taxation that otherwise is not going to get. So the double taxation agreement is not to avoid taxation. It's to have a proper, legitimate way how to collect part of the taxation to another country, to your own country of origin. Okay? So on the job that we have done, a good job, the manufacturer, for example, will produce equipment. There is one of very important ADL company, which will produce packaging, even here in the UK. We have also ceramic industry. We have a chemical industry, pharmaceutical industry. So we have several really different kind of industry. And just to give you an idea, 7,000 people from Italy come every day to work in San Marino. So and the 3% unemployment rate in reality is, it means that there is no unemployment, because the student, the people that they are just looking for a job, and not the man or the woman that they decide to stay at home to educate their own children instead to go to work for a period of time. That is all in the 3% that we consider. But we have several different kind of industry, manufacturing the side of San Marino. And we can give you the list if you want.
So there is a lot of export from San Marino, and I think my question is related to your work in the UK. To what degree does the consulate here help further San Marinese business interests, and do you connect businesses from there with businesses here?
My main job is not to, any large country, they have an ambassador that they are always sign the agreement, okay? So basically, the job of is only to make sure that these two people, they sign the agreement. My main job not only was to make sure that they signed the agreement, to create that agreement, to make sure that there was that possibility, but my main job is to make sure that that agreement works. So my main job is to make investment in San Marino as in UK from the company. So yes, we keep it involved that. For example, we have now 3 major investment in San Marino, one for the new airport, new hospital, and new university of San Marino. And all 3, they are 3 large UK group that they are going to invest over there. As we had the ASNA, this very important large packaging, San Marinese company that have made an investment in Wales, so in very depressed area of United Kingdom. Of course, we are not talking about billion, but we are talking about 500 million investment on both sides, which is make, for a small state of 33,000 people, a quite a good investment in a reciprocal way. So I think that my job is to deliver that, not just to make the agreement, to make sure that that is going to happen. And that is the difference between any, in a small state, you have more than one act. And the most important act is to deliver wealth to the reciprocal countries. And to do this, you need to create a lot of stuff. For example, people don't realize how much it was important to create the APPG group, so the All Parliamentarian Group from San Marino. Means the group that has been created in the UK Parliament with the Labour, Conservative, everyone, to be part of that. And also to celebrate the different kinds. There is all these documents over there. Or people, they don't understand how much was important, for example, to invite, to have people like, to celebrate, for example, Theresa May, when she implemented the Anti-Slavery Act. San Marino stood for freedom. United Kingdom was the first country that introduced the new Anti-Slavery Act, the Modern Slavery Act. So we celebrate the Prime Minister that have implemented that. And sometimes you cannot imagine how much is important. As much is important. For example, the bad publicity. There was a certain point, a journalist from the Economist that was working for the Guardian. It was got basically your idea. And this journalist has got a clear idea. So the idea was that the double taxation agreement in reality was an interest to me, because I have a company in San Marino, I have a company here, so I'm very wealthy. So with double taxation agreement, I made an agreement for myself. And also, he's got the idea that because I was very involved in the UK economy, I was a certain form of, they call it like big bag bang, something like that. So basically, whoever became my friend, he will become a knight of the Republic of San Marino, okay? So it was like a way of. I was spoken to this guy, I was trying to explain, and of course all of that was a reality because San Marino was trying to become an offshoring company to help Russian to get inside Europe, okay? I was speaking with them, I was trying to explain that, but in the end the public and the Economist, their article. And the article was, as I told you, what it was that story. The story in which San Marino was close to Russia. Again, San Marino has never voted sanction to any country because we don't believe that sanction, they are helping the people, but they're helping the government, okay? But for the first time, we vote sanction against Russia. And even that was not considered in the article. Anyway, what we did that was bad publicity, but was publicity. So people started to understand what San Marino was, where San Marino was. So the only thing that we did was to write later to the editorial, to the editors of The Economist, and of course we published my letter to say, look, that is ridiculous. But sometimes we need also bad publicity, because San Marino is so tiny that to get inside of the map, you need bad publicity. I make you an example. Have you seen that there is a bus which they are moving you around London? You can even have a dinner where there was the most important criminal, the killer. Somebody has been killed over there, no? That is the same of a small state. Sometimes we need to be famous to let's believe people whatever they wanted, because that is the only way that they are talking about us. And we need to pay in the end the cost.
So San Marino traditionally has a very strong policy on neutrality in international law.
Correct.
But you mentioned having to sanction Russia. So
Yeah.
amidst all the ongoing conflicts of today, what challenges does San Marino face in that respect, and how do they manage to uphold their neutrality stance?
Well, the point was San Marino has the idea of neutrality, but neutrality does not mean don't do nothing. Neutrality means respect of international law. And if we were not voting the sanction to Russia, we were in the position in which a Russian company were able to open bank account to our bank system and then use us to transfer money to wherever they wanted. So our decision to stood in defense of the integrity territory of Russia there was consequence, and the consequence were that we should have sanction to be real neutral, to don't be used or to don't be abused. We should have voted sanction to Russia to stop the risk of Russian using our system to importing or sell it or moving money inside Europe. That was a logical consequence of this decision to stand for peace and for the integration. We could not stand for an invasion, because what Russia says, oh, those territories, they are majority of Russian people, so it's ours. 33,000 Sammarinese people, 24,000 have double passport, as I got it, Italian. So with that idea, Italy can just jump inside of San Marino and say, sorry, the majority of the people here, they are us, so it's us. So it was just the explanation of a neutrality policy. To be neutral in the modern world means don't support one part against the other. So it means implementing sanction to the part that have violated international law. Yes?
Just as you said about the majority of San Marinese people having like dual nationality with Italy,
Yes.
because of as a strong presence of Italian within San Marino, is that a fear at all in any respect for
No.
people of San Marino?
It's the same problem. It's the same to say that in a family you have a Scottish and English together or Irish and English together. So we, as always, my friend told me, there is no one family with an Irish blood or in Scottish blood. So it's the same in Sammarinese. That is not. We are 1,721 years off. We live together in peace. So there is not issues at all. Yes.
How does San Marino say culturally distinct from, say, Italy, and how different are the cultures? How different are the foods, say, or is it quite similar in that respect?
So basically, by food, they are not really big different. The big difference on San Marino is it's the mentality on business and the mentality on business and the mentality on in the way how they active themselves. I give you two examples. So food culture is the same. They are Italian and Sammarinese, they are majority Catholic. Okay? Who is the head of the Catholic Church? The Pope. So the Catholic Church everywhere in the world have the same structure. In the middle, as soon as you get inside, there is Christ. There is the cross of Christ. Okay? That is the symbol of the Catholic Church. So there is anywhere in the world, main point, it must be Christ. You get inside of the fantastic building of the church on the church of San Marino. You get inside and you saw immediately, and what you see in the middle? San Marino. Behind San Marino there is Christ. So the symbol of San Marino is very clear. Yes, we are Catholic, but we are Sammarinese prima. It means that you go to Christ through San Marino. You don't see Christ. Christ is the figure of Christ is behind San Marino, so is covered by San Marino. So you see San Marino in the middle. So it's the first example of Anglican Church, if you want. It's so evident, it's still Catholic, but it's so evident that because we have two heads of the state, that they are in power 6 months, the Archbishop of San Marino cannot sleep in San Marino. They have to sleep outside. And still the law, So the Archbishop cannot be resident in San Marino because the bishop's still in power a long time, so they don't want to have a church more powerful than the civil power, so the Archbishop on the night have to get out. So this is the cultural difference. They're still there. So the Archbishop come to San Marino, make the main... Every time that we have the head of the state, 1st of April, 1st of September, the main thing that the head of the state, as soon as been appointed and proclaimed by the people, they go to the church to have the blessed from the church. That night, that Archbishop have to leave San Marino, the state, and they make sure that they leave it. He cannot stay there. So what is the culture is the history who made the difference. We have a common law, we have no civil law, so you need to prove it who you are. Or your word have valid. No one can doubt of your word. No can two British person declare that you are British in writing is like a notary. Okay? Same in San Marino. So it's more mentality, culture. It's really pro-business because we have a common law, we have no civil law. It's really an institution that is more independent by any other influence, and in particular by the Pope, for example, than Italy, and consider. As a food, is the same than in Romagna, but as a language is Italian with an accent that is a Romagnolo, but similar, is a local. But the major big difference is the history. When Italy was fascist, San Marino still a free democracy. When Italy was under the control of the Germany, San Marino was still a free democracy. Any other question? Yes, please, and then?
I want to ask a lighter question. So basically, I'm a football fan, and it came to my pleasure to see San Marino win their first football game in many, many years last year.
Correct.
And they kept up with like a few more wins throughout 2024 and 2025. So I would just want to ask what is San Marino's approach towards international sports? And do they plan on investing more in it?
Thank you. San Marino is very proud. We have a very few victory, as you mentioned, but recently we have a victory against Liechtenstein and against other countries. So San Marino, again, also in the international sport, because San Marino is a member of the UEFA, we have our referee. We participate a lot in international game to make sure that the sport is the sport. So it's a fair and according to the rule. We have some investment that we are doing in the sport, in the new stadium and new activities. We are quite famous now for the shooting. We achieved the silver medals. That was important to an Olympic medals for a small country like us. And there is, for example, one important thing. You can become residents in San Marino and even citizen if you have a talent in sport you want to apply to become that. That is one of the very faster way to become our citizen. So we try to acquire the best champion around, but with moderation, of course. But yes, sport is very important. And is very proud and practical. And in particular, when I was in England against San Marino, that was so the very good part is that you see the champion of English champion, that all the national team against San Marino team. That is, but the point is that it's an opportunity if you think about. So think about it. Just because we are San Marinese, we are going tomorrow to. Even though we are not very good football, whatever, but tomorrow we are going to fight with the England national team or Scotland or France. So you see there's a big guy, and this is important, and you have the same possibility that is unique opportunity. If you think about sometimes it's never happened. So there is a lot of benefit to be from San Marino, if you think about. So you have always to think about that. If you are in a large country and you organize a chess game, you have organized a local chess game. If you are in San Marino, you have just organized the next Olympic game to participate to the national selection of chess or football. Thank you.
You mentioned UK investment in building a new hospital.
Yes.
And I'm just curious about, because San Marino is such a small country, what are you aware of any unique challenges you have within the healthcare industry? Do you have is there a shortage of staff or pharmaceutical supply?
Sorry, I missed that part.
Okay. San Marino being such a small country.
Yes.
Are you aware of any does that create challenges within the healthcare industry at all?
Well, San Marino is a small country, yes, but we are going to join Europe.
Okay.
San Marino is in the middle of a very crowded area of Italy. And we need to guarantee our 33,000 people the main service, like intensive care. During COVID, it was very important. And during COVID, we were one of the countries more affected by COVID. That is the reason why, for example, Jeremy Hunt, Minister for Foreign Affairs, received the Order of Sant'Agata because he was the first one that was jumping in informing the world that we were struggling, okay? There was in the Sun, it was say, when Italy is affected by the COVID, let's not forget the small state of San Marino, which is also affected. And because we are not in the EU, they block every importing in San Marino, even a face mask. So we were basically run out of everything because we are not in the EU, okay? So what's happened was that gave us the clear evidence that we need to have a modern hospital. And in the modern hospital, we need also to give a service for not only for us, but for the community around us. And that is the reason why we have made an international bid to participate to that infrastructure, and this UK company has won that bid. So I think that is the only answer that I can give you.
Okay, thank you.
I have some more questions about World War II. So to clarify, it wasn't Mussolini's Italy that tried to violate the independence of San Marino. Mussolini, fascism didn't.
Exactly.
And then there was Operation Axis when the Nazis came in.
Exactly.
And could you give more details on how exactly San Marino diplomats were able to keep them out?
Yes.
Because previous to that, obviously Nazi Germany had violated international law, so why this time did they abide?
Good point. Okay. So San Marino is, let's say that San Marino is the city of London, okay? Every one of you have got the familiarity with the city of London? Okay. And Mussolini has been born in Westminster. So basically, Mussolini was born in a very close village, close to San Marino. Okay? And so basically, as soon as Mussolini became the Duce of Italy, the San Marinese people got this idea. He became the dictator of Italy. So let's make sure that he's not invade us. So the Communist Party changed their jacket and became the Fascist Party in San Marino. And immediately they went to visit Il Duce and to say, you are fascist, we are fascist. Clear? Then until the Mussolini was in power, 1943. But we still have the same structure. Eh? They took head of the state, every 6 months we were changing. There was just a change of jacket for us, that's all, no more. Then in 1943, Mussolini was deposed. And then we have the problem that the German army were in control of Italy. And we had 10,000 Jewish inside of our territory. You have to understand that in Italy, there were 39,000 Jewish in all Italy. 7,000 of them have been deported to Russia, to Germany, and killed. All the rest have been survived. Okay, clear? So 32,000 have been able to hide it in a convent, in the church, also in 10,000 in San Marino. So everyone in 1943 knew it, that the German was losing the war. So what we did it was to contact the German ambassador and tell him, you are ambassador of Germany and in San Marino. But if you're still in Rome, you risk to be deported or to be arrested by the new alliance, by the British. But if you move your headquarters in San Marino, and San Marino is still independent, you are an independent neutral state. So you are either the German ambassador in Italy, but you are also the ambassador in San Marino. And he understood the importance to do that. So that is the reason why we've been defended, because the German army, if were invading us, and we were not anymore an independent state, the ambassador of Germany were not anymore an independent state, so untouchable either for the United States, but they were in Italy, again, in a conflict of war, as a consequence, subject to be arrested by the alliance. So the diplomacy did his job to convince and to be able to interpret the situation, adapt ourselves, but keep it our heart free and independent. Like when Napoleon arrived, Napoleon offered us to extend our territory to the sea. But San Marino was very poor at that time, okay? So what they offered us was all the territory here, from here to the sea. Our head of the state at that time made a very clever, very wise decision. Say, look, thanks a lot. We are not so well to keep it this land. We don't want it. When there was the Vienna conference, in 1814, because we did not accept that land from Napoleon, because we have not compromised with Napoleon, United Kingdom, Austria, Germany recognize us as independent and sovereign state. We have the first recognition by the Vienna agreement in 1814, because we say no to Napoleon to extend our territory. Thank you. There was any other question? Yes?
At any point during San Marino's history, was there ever like nearly did it become not independent and joined Italy or joined, for example, even during unification, was there any talk of San Marino unifying as well, or was it always?
There was a three moment. There was a two moment where we have been temporarily occupied. In 1503 by Cesare Borgia, that was the son of Alexander VI Pope. The Pope at that time have got son. So his son was a very important lord of the middle of Italy, and he occupied for a few months San Marino. Then Alessandro VI died, and Duca Valentino, the Lord Valentino, as it was called, or Cesare Borgia, was forced to leave San Marino to defend his own territory, and then he lost everything. The second time was in 1739, when the Pope army occupied San Marino for 6 months, and the date in which they left was the date of Saint Agatha. And for the first time in the history, since 1740, a saint, a woman, became a national saint of a state. San Marino has 3 saints. The founder, San Marino, Saint Agatha, that the liberation of on February, that was the day when it was liberated by the army, and San Quirino, that is the one that has stopped the black pestilence to get inside the San Marino. So we got 3 very difficult moments. The other one, as was explained, was during 1944, when we were very close to be invaded by the German army, and we avoid that by diplomacy. And the other time, as you mentioned very clear, was during the unification of Italy. Have you remember the date in which we received the letter? So our head of the state, yes, they want to complement it to the United States and America. But at the same time, this is when Garibaldi, 17 March 1861 is the unification of Italy. In 1959, there was the first war against Piedmont against Austria. All the north was unified. In 1960, there was when Garibaldi went into the south to conquer all the south. And so at that moment, there was an evidence movement around San Marino, on the citizen of San Marino, to be part of this this atmosphere to joint Italy unification. So San Marino did 3 things. First, write to the United States president to say, look, you remember, so we recognize each other. So the Italian government say, wait a moment, you cannot, we have the recognition of United States. Second, during the persecution of the first war in 1848, San Marino hide and protect Garibaldi. So when Garibaldi started the unification of Italy, the San Marinese did the first things was to immediately to tell, you are our honored citizen. So if you accept the honored citizen, how can you invade us? And that was the second thing that they did it. So have you seen a lot of its relationship, diplomacy, and in particular, knighthood, recognition, to invite people to bring our symbols, so that if you go around to share it, you defend our freedom. But basically, it was diplomacy, connection, and that is the most important thing for us. And that is the reason why sometimes we not let people down, Even those people, even those around the world that Garibaldi in 1948 was considered like a pirate. It's the same that today you have, I don't know, during the Gandhi, you saved Gandhi during when the British Empire was against him. Remember that Winston Churchill considered Gandhi like a terrorist. Okay? San Marino was hiding Garibaldi, that was considered a terrorist at that time. So sometimes a free state does something that no one can understand, to stand for freedom. Any other question? Yes, please.
So I was wondering about like San Marino's school system. So is it like just the Italian one, but you have like San Marino history not Italian, or do you have like a specific version of it? Don't you have any universities?
So San Marino has got, yes, it's got universities. We have a system that is equal to Italian system on the national university, Università of San Marino. But now we have also some online university. One has been just created on the 11th September 2025. It's called EURSM, European University San Marino. It's all online university, which they are only in English course with only a master and high graduation. So there is a mix now. San Marino want to become one of the most friendly country to education to any form, to private education, to public education, and to also online education to try to achieve the larger most possibility to educate people on the higher level. Any other question? Yes, please.
I'd like to know about like what is San Marino's sort of perspective on sort of climate change and sustainable development, because as a small country it might be sort of easier to adapt your economy and sort of country to be a bit more sort of climate friendly and sustainable, but how do you try to, as like a small state within various institutions like the UN or other European institutions, try to promote this idea if you are working on it?
Thank you. Yes, San Marino is, not only San Marino is one of the main voice in all the environmental issues. As I said, we are one of the first countries that also the sign of European Card for the right, environmental right, United Nations, in the forum, but also small countries all around the world. There is a definition of small country by United Nations. So the definition is that you have a certain limited territory and you have less than 2 million people, okay? That is the definition of small country. Iceland is a small country. Cyprus is a small country. Malta is a small country. Samoa is a small country. All these small countries around the world, we have like an association, and we are normally try to work together, because if you consider small countries around the world, we are 30% of the vote. And in particular, a country like the Barbados, Barbados is a protection, sorry, like Santo Domingo as a small island, or Samoa. They are countries that they are more affected by the climate change. And so we are, with them, a very strong voice. And San Marino has also presented a very important mobility scheme for reduce environmental impact. And also to try to be more business orientated. The point that San Marino is always made is that climate change must be business orientated, because only if it's business sustainable, the change will happen. That is the only point that we are doing. Please.
Yeah, in recent months, I think social media has been used by certain politicians, namely Trump, to cast doubt on country sovereignty.
Yes.
And I think in the instance of you've got Canada and also Greenland, and I just think if some country, some more powerful country, had a social media campaign casting doubt on San Marino, would San Marino's current tools, i.e. recognition, honours and diplomacy, be able to withstand that pressure from millions of people messaging each other and sending posts about casting doubt about San Marino's independence?
Well, so thank you for the question. What you have to take your account is this. A state like San Marino, of 33,000 people, social media is one of the form of acknowledgement for what happened outside San Marino. But otherwise, what happened inside of San Marino is this. You go to the bar and you're just waiting for 1 hour and you get all the news that is happening. It means with who you have slept yesterday, with who you have eaten yesterday, with how many children do you have. It's if you have an affair, a potential affair. Everything will be on the square, okay? So social media doesn't have any effect.
Because it's too small.
Because it's too small. And people knows directly the truth. Even though social media can be very brutal effect. And the liar on social media in a country like San Marino will be affect your personal life. I mean, you an example. There was a very important citizen of San Marino which they have started to tell that he's got an affair with his secretary, okay? That was the news, that was what spread around. The consequence was, of course, not real. The consequence was that that friendship, that was a very long friendship, doesn't exist anymore. So the effect personally is more strong and affect your personal life, but for a public life, you have the truth and the reality which they are standing faster. Of course, the consequence sometimes can be more effective to your personal life because at certain point, even though that was clear that everything was said was fake and false, only for delegitimize the election, okay, using the social media. In the end, what's happened was that that two persons that have been working for 10 years together, one as a Secretary of State and the other as a main assistant, she has renounced to do that because it was impossible, don't keep that, to cut in that rumor forever. But the social media cannot affect a state, small state like San Marino, cannot even influence, because you have to consider that 30% they are old people which they don't have it, any social media, or they don't have active in social media, or there is young people which they have different kind of social media like Snapchat or whatever, that they don't use the middle like Facebook and Twitter. Twitter is only for politicians and for journalists, basically. Not a lot of people they're using Twitter in any case.
Okay.
Welcome. Any other question? Yes, please.
What impedes Italy from annexing San Marino right now?
Sorry?
What impedes Italy from annexing San Marino right now? Like, what's element or factors?
Avoid that Italy invades some...
What kind of element or factors prevent Italy from invading San Marino?
Because Italy is a democracy and San Marino are a democracy. Between two democracies, we respect each other.
Is there any other more subtle reason?
No. A democracy never invade another country.
Thank you.
So the international laws is based on democracy. There is international law that is affect that. So no one is expect that Italy invade Germany anymore. We are a member of the European Union. A democracy never invade another democracy.
But San Marino and Italy share so many common cultural heritage and
Yes.
historical developments. So
Yes, they are sharing so many, but in the Italian constitution it's written that Italy refuse any form of war to win or enforce his right in international fora. And Italy also declared that the only way to approach any international discussion will be with international fora, to refuse war at any cost, except that if will be invaded or if one of his alliance will be invaded. So only if somebody invade or attack one member of the NATO, Italy is going to use his army to defend himself. Otherwise, he will never use his army to impose his opinion in the international forum. That is Article 12 of our Constitution. So, and we are a democracy. Italy is a democracy like France, like England. No one expects that England is going to invade France anymore.
Thank you. Another question is, maybe it's a little bit speculative, but since the ecclesiastical power in San Marino is really potent and is in charge, so what makes San Marino a democracy?
Sorry, the first part I missed it.
Since the ecclesiastical power in San Marino
Yes.
is in charge and is really potent, so what makes San Marino a democracy?
Well, no, sorry, I didn't probably explain myself. The church is not in power at all in San Marino. It's the civil power that is in power in San Marino. In fact, the example that I gave that if you get inside of the church, you don't see Christ, but you see San Marino, is because the Sammarinese, they are so power that they don't even recognize the power of the church authority. So they remove them. So everything is the people. The people elect the assembly, and their assembly select their head of the state. And we have that system since 301 after Christ. And the reason because we are two head of the state together, it's because I have a veto on the others. So I say, we go straight. The others say, no, we don't move. Unless we agreed, we can move. And we can only move together. And for 6 months, as head of the state, we have a veto one to the other. And then we have a parliament. So we are a democracy because we implemented the limited of power is due to the fact that you can be in power only 6 months. You cannot be re-elected before 3 years. And second, you have been elected by the people. So limited of power, sharing of power. In fact, by our constitution, never be alone in power. Never. You have always two heads in everything. You have always two people in power as head. Plus we have a parliament. So we are a democracy since 301 after Christ. So just to sum up, San Marino is a republic. It's a Roman republic. It's not a French republic. We do not have division of power because for us power is one element. Okay? If you have a power, you make law, you apply law, and you make sure that they respect law. Okay? But to make sure that we cannot have a dictatorship, we have two heads of the states on the same time elected, which they have equal power. One have the veto on the others. And they are only in power for 6 months, cannot be re-elected. On the same time, this head of the state have been selected from a parliament, which people voted every 5 years. After the 6 months that we are in power, any citizen can ask a judgment against the head of the state for high treason. And immediately a court of a member of the parliament will be implemented and to listen any charge that can be any abuse, any act that you have done, or any act that you have not done. You don't give him justice, you respond for that. You abuse of your power on him, you respond of that. And you respond unlimited with your freedom and your wealth. There is only two things that you cannot refuse in San Marino: to become head of the state. If you refuse, they have the right to destroy your house and to remove your passport. Never use it in the last 300 years, but still there. Or, like me, you refuse an appointment. So basically, when the head of the state comes to you and says, hello, we would like that you become next head of the state. The first things that you are thinking about is, please not. Because for 6 months, you cannot drive, you cannot have a wallet, you can do nothing. Also, all your wealth will be frozen. You cannot even sign a contract for buy your house or pay a check for your rent. Nothing. Everything will be frozen. So if you are in San Marino, everyone understands that situation. So the school teacher or the school where you send your children say, for these 6 months you are not able to pay the fees for your student, we understand. If you are living outside San Marino, in particular in the UK, the headmaster said, what, you don't pay the next terms for your kids? Out, okay? And so what they happen is that, look, I really would like to do something else. And so then they come to you with another proposal, say, well, we can appoint you as a Consul of the United Kingdom. Oh, thank you. We don't pay you. We give you a passport, a diplomatic passport, and you have to pay for the post. But the good news is that you can work. You can carry on to do your own job, but you have to pay for maintain that. And that is quite common in all small states. Or people like me have got more job to do it, but the majority of them is for free. Any other question? So I thanks to you, to all of you for this opportunity. Thanks for the UCL Association. Really appreciate the time that you have dedicated. I hope that you enjoy on San Marino and in our history. There is some tea, coffee, there is some leaflet, and of course, if you want, you can also visit our consulate, which is small, tiny, but is visible, is not far from here. So thanks again.